Yo, man, you killed 6 people?
Huh?
Did you kill 6 people, sir? Huh?
13. They just...
You killed 13?
6 people are dead in Clay County after a Friday night mass shooting. That suspect now in custody. And the sheriff tells us that those victims were killed in 4 separate locations.
It's just not a happening chance. You've got a family member actually murdering his family.
Chaos and sadness have overcome the Clay County community after a Friday night mass shooting claimed the lives of 6 people. 24-year-old Daricka M, now the suspect in this case. 4 of those victims are family members of his.
You're watching The Crime Vault, where we unlock real cases, real motives, and real consequences without the rumors or the clickbait. Everything in this video is based on public information, police reports, media coverage, and allegations. All individuals mentioned are presumed innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. We send our condolences and respect to the victims and their families, because for them, this isn't content, it's real life. If you're watching right now, go ahead and like, comment, share, and subscribe so we can keep opening these files.
6 people were killed across 3 locations in less than 5 hours. No warnings, no prior police calls, no known criminal history. And one of the victims was a 7-year-old child. This is not a story about chaos in a big city. This is a story about family, trust, and how violence can erupt where no one expects it. Welcome to the Crime Vault Unlocked. Warning: this episode discusses mass homicide, child death, and alleged sexual violence. Viewer discretion is advised. All individuals mentioned are presumed innocent until proven guilty. This episode is based on confirmed law enforcement statements and reporting as of January 10, 2026. Our condolences go out to the victims' families and the Cedar Bluff community. Clay County, Mississippi is rural, quiet, and deeply interconnected. The unincorporated community of Cedar Bluff, just outside West Point, sits near the Alabama border. It's the kind of place where neighbors know each other, churches anchor social life, and violent crime is rare. That context matters because what happened here defies expectation. The suspect is 24-year-old Daricka M. According to Clay County officials, no prior criminal record, no known history with law enforcement, no prior domestic disturbance calls, no restraining orders, no public warning signs. Investigators have confirmed Moore is the sole suspect and acted alone.
An investigation continues into a man accused of shooting and killing 6 people, including a 7-year-old child in Mississippi. Family members are now speaking out after the incident. Kamari Hamer has more.
When they first told me, I just couldn't believe it. When they said it was my brother, I was really shocked about it. Didn't want to believe that he had got killed.
Kimberly Moore and Versie Jennings are still in shock after hearing the news about the death of their family members and the identity of the suspect. Clay County Sheriff Eddie Scott tells WCBI 24-year-old Daricka Moore shot and killed 67-year-old Glenn Moore, 55-year-old Willie Gins, 33-year-old Quentin Moore, at this home on David Hill Road. All 3 victims were related to the shooter. Moore then allegedly stole a Ford F-150 that belonged to Quentin Moore. It is believed that the shooter then traveled to Blake Road and forced his way into this home and attempted to sexually assault someone. While he was there, Moore reportedly shot and killed a 7-year-old girl who was also his second cousin.
It really is a sad situation. I really don't know what the causing of this. We all just need prayer at this time.
The killing continued. Clay County investigators say Moore left in the stolen truck and drove to this home on Salone Griffith Road. Deputies found the stolen truck behind the home, signs of forced entry, and the bodies of Barry and Samuel Bradley.
At approximately 6:56 p.m., Clay County Dispatch received a 911 call from Blake Road. What deputies found would change the case forever. A 7-year-old girl, Moore's second cousin, had been shot in the head. According to investigators and witness statements, Moore allegedly attempted a sexual assault at gunpoint. The child was shot in front of witnesses. A younger child had a firearm placed to their head. That child survived and was not shot.
But I tried to do all I, can to help her, to save him. But I couldn't. And that's weighing heavy on my heart.
Other family members were present in the home, but unharmed. Law enforcement has stated this single act elevated the case into the most serious category under Mississippi law.
I have to tell you, when the sheriff briefed me about what had happened thus far last night, it really shook me because this is the worst one I've seen in 10 years. It's the worst one. I mean, 6 people, innocent lives taken, just horrific. And as the sheriff said, these charges are going to be upgraded to capital murder. They're going to probably be more than one count, to be honest with you. And I do want to say this. I talked to Trina Davidson this morning, and she asked me, I didn't suggest it, she asked me, could she be the special prosecutor on this case? It worked very well, and it's working very well with the Oasis shooting, and we're really making great progress to going to trial on that case. And she did such an outstanding job on that with working with Investigator Knowles that this morning she asked me could she be special prosecutor on this case no matter what judge gets it, because it was so personal to her. And I of course, agreed to let her do that. So
the violence did not end there. Moore allegedly traveled to a third location on Siloam Griffin Road. 2 men were found dead inside a residence. Barry Bradley, a local apostolic church pastor. Samuel Bradley, his brother. Both were shot in the head. Authorities have not publicly confirmed a motive connecting Moore to the Bradley brothers. By this point, law enforcement understood they were dealing with an active, mobile suspect. Agencies involved included Clay County Sheriff's Office, Mississippi Highway Patrol, Mississippi Bureau of Investigation. Roadblocks were established throughout the county. Just before midnight, Moore was taken into custody at a roadblock without resistance. Officials confirmed. No shots fired during arrest. No injuries. No accomplices. No ongoing public threat. At a Saturday press conference, Eddie Scott called the case one of the toughest investigations of my nearly 30-year career. He emphasized there were no warning signs and no prior police calls to any of the homes involved. District Attorney Scott Colum stated prosecutors intend to upgrade charges to capital murder, file multiple counts, and seek the death penalty. He described the case as about as bad as it gets. As of January 10, 2026, Moore is held at the Clay County Jail, initially charged with first-degree murder. Capital murder charges are pending. Additional counts expected. If upgraded, Moore would be ineligible for bail. Court appearance expected early the following week. Mental competency evaluations may factor into prosecution decisions. Investigators say Moore allegedly used a rifle and a handgun. The source of the weapons remains under investigation.
All right, for County Clerk, hold the line, please.
Thank you. Y'all be seated, please. And Ms. Harris, we're here on the matter of the state of Mississippi versus Daricka M. Moore. State, have you got the charging documents and you're ready to go?
The state is ready, Your Honor.
It's got to come before the court in cause number 266-K-CR-02, Style of State of Mississippi versus Daricka M. Moore. This is the initial appearance of the defendant. The state would charge that the defendant, first round, there is a general affidavit for first-degree murder of a minor child. At this time, the state is going to dismiss that affidavit. It intends to upgrade that charge to capital murder. So the state is making a motion to dismiss that general affidavit of first-degree murder of a minor child.
All right, that motion is sustained.
Thank you, Your Honor. The state now charges the defendant with a count of capital murder. The state charged that on or about January 9th, 2026 in Clay County, Mississippi, that the defendant did unlawfully and willfully, feloniously, while engaged in an attempt to commit a felony. That felony being an attempted sexual battery of LaShawna Ewings did kill a minor child. And based on that, Your Honor, that charge and affidavit would be capital murder because there was a minor child involved and was murdered. As the affidavit is stated here, the state would make a motion to amend the affidavit to include the name of the actual individual he attempted to commit a sexual battery on. The state just referenced that adult, which was LaShawna Ewings. That was the mother of the minor child that the defendant killed.
Ms. Harris, anything you want to say on that issue?
No, Your Honor.
Before we go too far, just so everyone knows, the court has appointed Ms. Clarissa Harris as court counsel for Mr. Moore. She is one of my public defenders here. She does an excellent job. And I will probably also appoint other counsel to help at this point in time for this initial appearance. Ms. Harris, thank you.
The state also charges that the defendant is charged with another count of capital murder. That charge of murder occurring also on January 9th, 2026 in Clay County, Mississippi. The affidavit charges that the defendant did willfully and unlawfully and feloniously while engaged in an attempt to commit a felony. That felony being burglary of a dwelling, did kill Barry Lynn Bradley in Clay County, Mississippi. And that is the charge of capital murder.
Let me ask, Ms. Harris, to the previous charge of capital murder, that is the killing of Michaela Ewings during the attempted sexual battery of her mother, how does your client plead to that charge?
Not guilty, no.
How does your client plead to the burglary, the alleged murder occurred during the burglary of Mr. Bradley?
Not guilty, no.
All right.
In the next charge, the state of Mississippi charged the defendant, Daricka Moore, with another charge of capital murder that occurred also on January 9, 2026 in Clay County, Mississippi. The affidavit charges that the defendant did willfully, unlawfully, and feloniously while engaging in an attempt to commit a felony crime. That crime being burglary of a dwelling did kill Samuel Connor Bradley in Clay County, Mississippi for the charge of capital murder. How does your client plead? Not guilty. The next charge is for first-degree murder. The charging affidavit states that the defendant, Daricka Moore, on or about January 9, 2026 in Clay County, Mississippi, did feloniously, willfully, and unlawfully with deliberate design to cause the death of Edward Glenn Moore by shooting him in the head while at the residence in 123 David Hill Road in Cedar Bluff, Mississippi, Clay County, Mississippi, to the charge of first-degree murder of Edward Glenn Moore. How does your client plead? Not guilty. The state also charges the defendant, Daricka Moore, with the crime of first-degree murder that occurred on January 9, 2026 in Clay County, Mississippi. The affidavit charges that he did feloniously, willfully, and unlawfully with deliberate design to cause the death to and did kill Quentin Moore by shooting Quentin Moore in the head while he was at the residence at 123 David Hill Road in Cedar Bluff, Mississippi, Clay County, Mississippi. How does the defendant plead to the charge of first-degree murder of Quentin Moore? Not guilty. The state of Mississippi also charges Daricka Moore with first-degree murder that occurred on January 9, 2026 in Clay County, Mississippi. The affidavit charges that the defendant did feloniously, willfully, and unlawfully with deliberate design and cause to death and did kill Mr. Willie Ed Ewins by shooting him in the head while at the residence at 123 David Hill Road in Cedar Bluff, Mississippi, Clay County, Mississippi. How does the defendant plead to first-degree murder of Willie Ed Ewins?
Not guilty.
The state of Mississippi charges that the defendant, Daricka Moore, committed the crime of attempted sexual battery. The affidavit charges that on or about January 9, 2026 in Clay County, Mississippi, that the defendant did willfully, unlawfully, and feloniously attempt to engage in sexual penetration as defined in Mississippi Code annotated 97-397, amended with LaShawna Ewins without her consent at the residence on 299 Blake Road in Cedar Bluff, Mississippi, as a charge of attempted sexual battery. How does the defendant plead to that charge?
Not guilty.
The state of Mississippi charges that the defendant, the state of Mississippi charges the defendant with attempted murder in this affidavit. However, during this kind of state would make a motion to amend this affidavit, rather than attempted murder, that it be upgraded to attempted capital murder, because the child involved, the victim involved in this murder or attempted murder was a minor at that time.
Any objection?
No objection, no.
The state would charge that on January 9, 2026, the defendant, Daricka Moore, did feloniously, willfully, and unlawfully with the deliberate design to cause the death of a human being, attempted to kill a minor child by shooting that minor child in the head while at 299 Blake Road in Cedar Bluff, Mississippi. Based on the state's motion, that charge is now attempted capital murder. How does your client plead to attempted capital murder of a minor child?
Not guilty.
The state charge that the defendant is also charged with the felony crime of burglary of a dwelling. The state charges that on January 9, 2026, in Clay County, Mississippi, the defendant did willfully, unlawfully, feloniously, precariously break and enter the dwelling house of Samuel Connor Bradley and Mary Lynn Bradley. The breaking and entering occurred under these circumstances likely to terrorize the occupant, and the underlying crime committed therein was murder. This occurred at 1965 Tyrone Griffin Road in Clay County, Mississippi. How does the defendant plead to the charge of breaking and entering? Burglary of a dwelling, I'm sorry.
Not guilty.
The state charges that the defendant has charged the defendant with the crime of felony taking of a motor vehicle. The state or affidavit charges that the defendant on or about January 9, 2026 did willfully, unlawfully, and feloniously without authority and with the intent to permanently or temporarily convert or to permanently or temporarily deprive the owner of possession or ownership of a vehicle. Did take away said vehicle, a 2010 GMC Acadia, belonging to Mr. Barry Lynn Bradley from 1965 Tyrone Griffin Road in Clay County, Mississippi. How does the defendant plead to the charge of felony taking of a motor vehicle?
Not guilty.
The state of Mississippi also charges the defendant with another charge of felony taking of a motor vehicle. The affidavit charges that the defendant on or about January 9, 2026 did willfully, unlawfully, and feloniously without authority and with the intent to permanently and temporarily convert or permanently or temporarily deprive the owner of possession or ownership, take the possession or take away a motor vehicle, that motor vehicle being a 2015 Ford F-150 belonging to Quentin Moore from 123 David Hill Road in Clay County, Mississippi. How does the defendant plead to taking of a motor vehicle, felony taking of a motor vehicle?
Not guilty.
Yeah, those are all the charges in the charging affidavits against the defendant. At this time, the state does anticipate at some point an upgrade of the first degree charges as it relates to the 3 individual males that are victims of the first degree, that those charges will be upgraded to capital murder at a later date. At this time, because the defendant is also charged with capital murder charges, the state will ask for no bond.
Okay. There's a couple of things I need to take care of right quick, and I need to talk to Mr. Moore about these. Mr. Moore, you have the right to remain silent. Any statement that you make can and probably will be used against you in court. You understand? You have the right to have an attorney, and I've appointed one for you right now, Ms. Harris. If you cannot afford an attorney, you may apply for a court-appointed attorney at the Clay County Circuit Clerk's office. If you are unable to make bail, then you can make an application for a public defender at the Clay County Adult Detention Center. And I have appointed you a public defender at this point in time. You have the right to communicate with your attorney. You have the right, at this point, I'm going to deny bond on all of these charges. You will not be admitted to bail. One, you've got at least 3 counts of capital murder at this point in time. And 2, I suspect there's going to be fairly quickly a motion for a no exam filed in this matter. So while that's being filed, you are not to be admitted to bail. You have the right to demand a preliminary hearing for waive the hearing pursuant to Rule 6.1 of the Mississippi Rules of Criminal Procedure. And if you want to do that, Ms. Harris, you can do that, but I would think that probably, if you're going to do that, we'll probably need to wait till after there's been some evaluation done by the state hospital. Ms. Connor, have you got an order on this? I know it's a separate order, a different order that we use on capital cases than murder cases. Can you contact the state hospital and let them know that this case is coming and see what kind of time frame we're looking at before maybe they can get to it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. That's all right. All right. Mr. Moore, do you have any questions for me? No, sir. Okay. Say, is there anything else that we need to take up at this point in time on this matter?
Not to say no.
Ms. Harris?
Not at this time.
Ms. Harris, you're entitled to additional counsel that will help, and I'm in the process, as I've told you, to find somebody who has some experience in trying death penalty cases.
Yes, sir.
And I will consult closely with you to see if there's somebody that you have in mind to help you with this matter.
Yes, sir.
All right. Sheriff, is there anything further that we need on this matter? No, no. You may take us to the fifth. Ms. Connor, is there anything else anybody's got ready for me at this point, or do you know on other matters?
And I think we do have at least 3 cases that are set to trial.
Yes.
I think they're coming back to determine whether or not they're going to take the pleas after them or proceed to trial in the morning. If we can just wait just a few minutes now, have a date.
Y'all let me know as soon as you can. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate you being here. If you need to
Despite the scope of the violence, no confirmed motive has been released, no explanation for the choice of victims, no public mental health history disclosed, no indication of prior threats or disputes. These answers may take time, and some may never come. Clay County is mourning. Churches have opened their doors, vigils are planned, families are grieving privately and publicly. This case, first reported locally by WTVA News, has now drawn national attention. But for the people of Cedar Bluff, this is not a headline. It's permanent loss. 6 people are gone, a child among them. A community forever changed. We will continue to follow this case as facts emerge, not rumors. If you value careful, responsible coverage, like the video, subscribe, and share. This has been the Crime Vault Unlocked. File closed.